Alright, hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Daniel and this is yet another part in our character modeling tutorial series. At this point I have no idea which part this is anymore. I'll put it into the title of this video, but shouldn't really matter. Let's just keep going today. I think in today's video we'll be able to get quite far. There's a bunch of easy parts coming up and I hope to just do them one after another. Let's get started. I want to quickly begin with the feet here, but I'm seeing there's a bit of an intersection that I don't like, so before we start to retopologize that part, let's just quickly go in and just maybe extend this a tiny bit. Maybe just a little bit more on both sides actually. So I like to wait. Let me undo this quickly. I just want to snap it. I don't know. I feel more confident that way. Shouldn't really matter though. Is that too much? Does that bother? Well, I think it would look nicer if it was a bit more flush. But yeah, actually, let's try to keep it a bit more inside. I'll instead just make the entire thing a tiny bit smaller and move it up. So now we should be fine. I think that's enough distance between these parts to avoid any intersections there. In fact, I think I might move this one back. We don't really need to pull this one out too much, but maybe just a little bit to keep the balance. It's quite tough to find the good balance. I don't like to pull this out, but I don't want to get this intersection. Alright, let's say that's good enough. As long as we don't see like a really obvious intersection, I'm fine with that. And you know what the issue really is now that I'm looking at it? I think the entire leg is a bit, the entire foot is a bit too far out. So let's try to do this. I'm going to go now to my increment snapping. I'm going to hold control and snap it over by one grid unit here, which is really just a little bit, but there is one important thing. We need to make sure that we do the same thing on the high resolution mesh, because if we don't, then these are not going to line up anymore. So by using the increments, we'll make sure that these are just moved both by exactly the same amount, and there we go. I think that very well solved our issue. Should have noticed earlier maybe that was what went wrong. Now we can move this a little bit back actually even. And now it looks all nice. I mean, it's really not... Actually, we'll just leave it where it was. It's really just a bit of optimization, but there we go anyway. Now this part, for this part, what I want to do is I want to merge these two together basically. And we can leave... Well, we will just join these together with Control J. And actually, for our low resolution mesh, we may as well just start with a copy of this. So I'll copy this, I'll move it down to low, and this is going to be ankle low maybe. We'll rename it all better a bit later. And what I want to do is it's a bit tricky. I do want to apply subdivisions, but only on level 1. Let's give that a try. And before I do that, I may actually go ahead and delete these faces here, so that these are just going to remain round. We should have something here too. Alright, so this is what we have. And with this, I'll apply this modifier in object mode. And so now it's all a bit nicer and rounder, even if we don't have the high resolution model. It should still remain fairly smooth and round. It actually lines up very well with the rest as well. Let's just also turn on wireframe just so that we can see what we're doing. And I think that for the inside we don't really need that many vertices, since, you know, we don't even see them very much. So let's first of all trim this back to the area that actually matters. So let's see. Okay, we need to go a bit further down than that. So let's undo that. We'll cut it up to here. And for the upper part, I'm pretty sure we don't need this rounded part on top. So I'm just going to cut off this entire upper part here. Just delete it with X. And I would like to merge this together here so that you know, that there's a smooth transition. Just, you know, because I don't like this intersection here. Should we just keep it together actually? You know what, that's what we'll do. I think that's actually easier. Let's just make sure these lines aren't exposed, so I'll move this one in a bit. We'll delete that. The only thing we now need to be sure to do is to separate these objects, because since we have an intersection, they shouldn't be baked together, otherwise we'll get artifacts. I'll show what I mean in a second. Let's just finish this off quickly. I will actually make one extra loop here. You know, if you really want to optimize your game, maybe this is not the best idea, but it helps just to get the smoothing right, because if this was the last loop and then we went in here, there would be a little bit of like shading normal artifacts, and you know, they wouldn't really matter because the normal map would take care of them. But I mean, this is just cleaner if we have you know, the budget for more polys, then why not just do it? And I think I mentioned already many times, but in this whole series I'm not too concerned with the technical things. I mean, I just want to make a video mostly for beginners to get into character modeling, so we won't consider all the details in game development, and just focus on our goal of making a good looking character. And that doesn't mean that this character won't work or perform in a real game. It's just that it wouldn't maybe be the best solution for a highly technically advanced game, but I think that's totally fine. Let's maybe leave I mean, yeah, while we're wasting extra resources, let's add some extra loops here. The only reason for that is that oh, now we have to unhide it like this again. Wait. Alright. Wait, what? There we go. Yeah, if we rig this and this inner part might deform, I don't want to, you know, have too little geometry there, so it's just in case. Now, I will separate these two geometries, so I'll select this inner one, hit P, separate the selection. We can keep these two together, that's no issue. And on the high resolution side of things, we'll also separate this from the other. So, you know, we have a few extra parts now, but these two will be baked in a set, and then these inner two will be baked in a set, if you know what I mean. That just makes it so that it's really easy to bake. There's no things that it could intersect with, so it will be free of any artifacts. So let's disable high poly meshes for a second. Let's just check if there's no spot where we can see through, and since we already prepared for this and made this cap here, there's actually no way that we will ever see it. We may just I have a feeling that this is not really quite centered. I'm actually going to move this over by 1 unit as we did with the feet. And let's not forget that we have to do the same thing with this high resolution part as well. Let's move over by 1 in edit mode, and let's just check if it looks alright. I'm pretty sure that this is now good enough. So the feet are done basically, and we can move on to the next part. Let's skip a little bit here for a second, and let's take a look at the hand. Do we need to change anything here? I think this is alright. This will be just fine for for our for normal baking. Let's take a look at the fingers, and I have a feeling that these will be very easy once again. So let's move this to our low poly section, fingers, slow, and we may as well call this ankle, let's call it ankle axis and ankle block. I'm not really thinking about the names too much at the moment. But I should point out that it's generally a good idea to be consistent with these things. So if you work in a project, or even for yourself, try to get into the habit of always using the same names for your parts. That will just help in the long run. So with two finger objects now, I will take the one that's in the low section, and basically the fingers are quite good and almost done. All I'm really going to do here is to reduce them a little bit. For example, let's inflate them a tiny bit so that when I remove a few loops here, let's see if that is an issue. Yeah, I think that will just work fine. But I wish we would have one loop in the middle. After all, okay, let's undo this all. Let's go back to the beginning. I'll just add one loop in the middle, and then I'll remove these two. One in the middle, remove these two. I'm just trying to work in sort of a batch with the same operation on all of them, so just so to keep them consistent as always. The more consistency you have, the easier it is to sort of keep track of, you know, what's going on in your project. And so yeah, we try to do that usually. Yeah, let's just delete these loops that go around. We're losing a bit of volume here, but you know, the normal map will take care of it as long as the silhouette doesn't change too much, which honestly it does a little bit here, but you know, it's okay. So as you know, I don't like to have 90-degree angles in my low poly mesh, so I'm actually happy that there's a bevel in this. So we'll actually just keep the bevel as is. Let's quickly just enable the wireframe here so that we can see what we're doing a little bit better. So I think the only thing left to do is to remove a few loops across here, and we really don't need too many of them. So let's just select them with Alt click and X to delete, and then edge loops. And we'll probably just leave one in the center for all of these parts. And here we shall leave, yeah, also one in the middle. And well, I mean, this is just part of the, oh, well, it's actually not. But here we have a little bit more of a curvature, so, ooh, oh no. There we go. This doesn't look good, and I think I won't be able to undo this. Yeah, okay, so we messed up a little bit here. As you can see, when I deleted the loop, I probably accidentally went on something like this, and yeah, be careful what you click. At this point I have no choice. Let's delete this and start over. It's not going to take too long. It will be less than a minute probably. Let's see how fast I can do it. At least we now know what we need to do, so here we go. Let's add a loop in the middle of these. Let me quickly speed run Blender. There we go. Let's do more efficient work. Let's just select these all at once. Let's check for any mistakes. Nothing wrong. Now we'll select the loops that go around, and we're pretty much back to where we were. Now we'll select these here. Actually, let's just do all of them at once. Here we don't have any. Then here we placed one in the middle because there was no middle one exactly. So now we can, yeah, now we need to switch to edge selection so that we can select these all at once. See, it's kind of funny, and this is actually a good example for how 3D modeling is a lot of thinking work and not necessarily your modeling speed. Because if I know exactly what I need to do, it can be a lot faster. Do we delete these both? So now we're back at the thinking. So yeah. kind of would like to leave one right in the middle of this, so I'm just going to add a few loops here, and then we're going to delete the 2 loops around here. I'm doing these kind of tricks because these are the fastest, instead of, you know, deleting them and then selecting one and trying to shift it to the middle. That's not even too accurate, so this is just it's just going to be the same result for all of them, just nice and easy. Alright, and here we go. The vertex count isn't too bad. I mean, as usual here for this series, it's not the most efficient, but it's also not horribly bad, and with that I guess this part is done once again. Let's just make this a little bit more even while we're here. Well, okay, let's not. I don't know, there's a little bit of an unevenness. Doesn't really matter, to be honest, as long as it lines up now. Now let's take a look at a few different parts. Which one shall we tackle next? Yeah, by the way, we never did the ears and the hair. That's kind of a really big one that's still missing. Also, I kind of feel like we should just quickly give this a different material. Oh, we need to go on the other side to select. There we go. Just because I like it to match the other side, so we need to add a second slot, assign that, and yeah, we're lucky, we got the right material on the first try. I didn't even know which one the right one was. While we're at it here, I feel like I want to add a loop to this. I mean, I really shouldn't be teaching you bad practices. The thing is, if this was a game, you'd be getting rid of lots of these things. I mean, if you really need to optimize stuff, you probably wouldn't have these points here. This would kind of be merged, and the topology wouldn't matter too much. But I'm doing here something that's a little bit of a hybrid between something that would be better for, well, animation and something that could still run in game. So, well, I think these things depend a lot on each project and can hardly be generalized. I mean, these things change also a lot over the time with improved technologies. So I think that in this regard, you'll just have to, yeah, use your intuition, use the information that you have on hand to make a good call. But yeah, I'm just going to do it like this because it looks nice and clean, and it looks like I'm good at modeling. So let's move on. The hair will be pretty easy because I think I'll just keep it as is, if we can. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we can. I don't like how it has a bit too little detail, but the thing is, we don't even have a proper high resolution mesh for this, and it was a pretty tricky part in first place. Actually, I don't even remember what I said in the earlier parts. I may have said something like, I'll do this and that later, but now I have no idea what I said, so it's gonna be this. So let's copy all of that and move it to our low section. Just rename these quickly. We probably could have done some batch renaming, but I'm not using that too often, so I'm just going to rename it manually now. And we'll need to apply all these modifiers, so let's just apply this and this as well, and this here. This doesn't have anything, or we did apply it already. Alright, here we go. Let's hide the high resolution stuff. Actually, I might have mistakenly, yeah, that's what I did. I just deleted all the modifiers on this side. Yeah, you need to stay focused. It's a good idea to always doubt yourself and double check. Like, mistakes happen very easily because it's all so, well, very detailed work always, so I usually double check almost everything I do just to make sure that I don't do something that will be difficult to undo. And I also try to always work with techniques that allow me to easily go back at any time. So what do we do for this part now? like we have two choices. Either we just keep it exactly as it is, and during the baking, well, it will just basically have almost no normal information on this. But I don't have too good experiences with that approach, because it still sometimes gives me artifacts. And the other method that we could use is to just clear all the sharp edges here to make this just normally smoothed. Oh, we did it only on one side. Let's actually enable the wireframe on all of these, and then let's repeat that process on all of these parts. Alright, it seems like we did that. So clear sharp, we'll disable the auto smooth features here all around. Do we have any no custom normal data? Alright, that's fine. Alright, so this is now a normally default, well, smooth shaded object, and man, we should have been a bit careful maybe with these parts. I'm just going to do the easiest fix here. Let's just take this point, move it a bit inwards so that it doesn't intersect, because that didn't look very good. I'll do something similar here, if it's possible. No, let's leave it as is. I can't really move these parts around because they match exactly to the other part, and yeah, it's just going to be a bit messy. Well, okay, this is not going to be the greatest thing in this on this character, quite honestly. Yeah, there's this area as well. What do we do? Could leave it like this and just color the inside of the hat with the hair color, which would be the easiest solution once again. I feel like I'm trying to avoid all the work here, but at the same time you could say that that's just trying to work efficiently. Whatever. I'll try and see what it looks like. Which material do we need? 3. Should have just named these materials, quite honestly. Yeah, so why not go? Oh, let's just go with this. It kind of gives this also filled feel, and it's the quickest way of doing it. It's the simplest. I'm a bit worried about the baking, but I think we just have to leave it like this, try it, and if we have any artifacts later, we'll go back and fix it up. But yeah, quite honestly, I'm not an expert on doing the hair, so even if you ask me in the comments to do a video on hair, I'll probably struggle with that. So I'll leave it like this for now, which is I think at least good enough for what we want to do. Let's just move these points just a tiny bit down because I saw them intersecting a little bit. Yeah, but I need to do more research on this, and I'm pretty sure there's other videos out there that focus on just that, and lots of models that you can take a look at. Yeah, alright, there we go. Now we still haven't attached any ears, and for the ears I'll just do them in a separate little object, which will be the easiest once again, because I don't want to deal with the merging the topology here at the moment. And quite honestly, in this style, with the cell shaded look and everything, it's still going to blend in quite nicely, so it's not entirely a bad idea. So yeah, you don't need to worry too much about that. So for the ear, once again, it would be nice if we can reuse this for the most part. So I'll duplicate this, move this to the low section, call this ear low, and let's isolate just that to start to reduce it. Now for the reduction, we could try one thing quickly. Since we have applied the subdivision surface earlier on this one, we could try to take the decimate and use unsubdivide and see if that works out. And that actually works perfectly. That modifier messes up often for me personally, but today it didn't, so we'll just take it. Otherwise you have to kind of get to this point manually. Let's delete 1/2 and just mirror it for now as well. And this part isn't really visible, so I'm just going to quickly delete all of this. Let's just see if that doesn't... Yeah, that's just fine. And we need about these many points to have a smooth curve around. We can delete this maybe, and this, because this is quite flat. It doesn't really affect the silhouette, and the normal map is going to capture it quite nicely otherwise. We could just move this out a bit further to smooth it out. But otherwise, that looks quite good. I'm just going to select this one more time and select the inner region. Let's take the smoothing and just smooth it out a tiny bit, and then with the face snapping enabled, we'll just project it onto the mesh. And I think that's good enough. Wow, that was a very, very quick process. Let's hide the high resolution stuff for a second and see if this is all good. And I don't see any major issue with this. I do have to admit though that I'm starting to feel a little bit of an imposter syndrome with this with this project, because you know, if I see the possibility for it being better in any way, I feel guilty for not going for it. So yeah, I'll try to keep it to myself. But you know, we need to get it done after all. We can't forever sort of yeah, keep adjusting things and never get it done. So yeah, I'm not very happy. Just to summarize, I'm not very happy with the hair, how this is also, it also has sharp angles, which I don't like very much. This we will fix in a second, maybe not in this video, but at least in the next it will be fixed. We'll try to get rid of these hard edges and at least give them a bevel, and that will just make sure that we're on a good side. And I mean, just consider it, we have all of this and we're just a tiny bit over 10,000 vertices, and that's really not so much if you think about it with today's game engines. Characters can, without a problem, you have 100,000 actually triangles it would be, so we're at 20,000 triangles. It's really not a big issue in my opinion. If this needs to run on mobile, or you know, something like a Switch, it's a different story maybe, but for our purpose it should be fine. Where does this leave us now? We did actually quite a lot of work. Fingers are done, the feet are done, the hair is there, the ears are there. We need to do a little bit of detail on the belt, and then this part here. So maybe we won't get to the helmet in the next part, but it seems like it's going to be the part after that. But before we end this video, I mean, we are at the 30-minute mark. Let's just try to get the badge done at least. Move this to low. Badge. I'm pretty sure that's not what it's called in real life. What is it called? It's not really a badge, is it? It's like some sort of thing that I don't know what's called. Anyway, let's apply our modifiers for the correct object. The deform one in particular, the smoothing one. Let's see where it gets us if we apply it. So that leaves us here, and I'm not against it too much because it gives us this nice bevel. So I'm going to apply it, and then I'm going to reduce it from there again. Maybe we'll leave this center loop, and then let's switch to edge selection. That makes it a bit easier. And let's remove these, and then these here. Here we can remove quite many because this doesn't really affect the silhouette. And it looks like, feel like I want to remove this one as well. Well, let's just remove the other one. Yeah, that is fine. That is perfectly fine. The normal map will work very well in cases like this. I mean, you can't even go low enough to see that this is not, you know, to realize that this is fake. This is going to be perfect for normal maps. And I just feel like this is a bit dense. I'm thinking if there's anything we can do. But I mean, we could just merge stuff together like this, but since we have it already this clean, I may as well just leave it. I think this is fine. So let's just take a look at the back side. See if there's anything we can optimize. This we can remove for sure. And I'm pretty sure nobody would know if we deleted these faces here. Although, no, let's leave them actually. There is a chance that this can be seen, and I feel safer that way. Anything else? We could, in this case, will actually go ahead and delete this. It gives it a nice sort of triangle at the corner, which in this case looks better. So we'll do that. And finally, I just realized now there are a bit more cuts here than we need, so we can just go ahead and remove at least one loop, which would be, oh, this is not mirrored, so which would be this one. And then we need to do the same thing on the other side. And this one we'll just leave maybe. Okay, now we have a problem. So we can't do this at the same time. Well, we could do this. 0. How far do we do? 0.5 minus? No, 0.2 minus 0.3 minus 0.3, and here we do 0.3. Wait, no. Slide 0.3. There we go. So this should be now the same on both sides. Do we need this? I have a feeling we don't. So yeah, let's remove that as well. I will leave this one in the middle because it does give it a little bit more of a... Although I kind of would like to keep that one too. No, I don't know. Well, if we keep it, let's make at least a bit use of it and make it have an impact on the silhouette. Alright, so I'll leave this one, but I have just inflated it just a tiny bit, which is not really necessary because the normal map will still make it look like the way it was. But from like a side view, you get a little bit of a softness that you wouldn't have otherwise. I mean, I'm just overdoing things here, quite honestly, which starts to become a trend. But I'll leave it like this. Wait, this is actually, now that I zoom out, this has too many points. This is not acceptable. I didn't realize in contrast that it was that high poly. You know what, we'll just reduce it quite a bit. After all, we'll remove this and this and this. And we might as well, let's take a look first. Should I remove this here? We'll shift it a bit over, or actually no, we just remove that one. And bring this in the center, maybe. Man, why don't we just quickly add a mirror modifier to this? I can't be working on both sides all the time. There we go. And I think we'll just go ahead and remove some of these loops as well. Now let's see how that where that puts us. Yeah, and I have a feeling that's a lot better. I mean, I had this issue where I was just too close to the entire thing and I didn't have a good reference point. I didn't have a good context. So yeah, make sure you learn from my mistakes here. I mean, it's not a big deal. It's an issue that's solved within seconds, but, well, it's good to see what could happen. And you know what, here, I'm just going to do what I mentioned before. We'll just create a quad here and fill this with triangles. Makes it just a tiny bit optimized and even a bit cleaner. Let's take a look at this one more time. I just don't want the shading to be affected too much by this, but it doesn't look too bad. Alright, so this is that part done then, although we might... Can we do something here? I'll just do this quickly, similar to the front, actually, so just cleaning it up a little bit in the back. So we do end up with a few triangles here, but as I said, these aren't really as bad as you may think, especially in rigid parts like this that don't deform. It's really no big issue at all. And since I've already recorded so many parts, I don't want this series to go on forever. Let's just do these two as well before we end this video. So these are also separated as they should be. Let's move them down to low, their copy at least. I'll add this to low and add the suffix of low to here as well. And then once again, what can we do here? We apply the simple deform apply. But subdivision surface, we don't apply that. Let's just delete it and instead add a Shrinkwrap modifier and basically shrink it to the mesh that's below it. We'll do the same for the other. Let's apply this. No. Let's not make the same mistake. We delete this one, then we Shrinkwrap it onto the mesh that's below it. Where does that leave us? Let's enable the wireframe quickly. So all we need to do really is a little bit of cleanup, otherwise it's almost done. I feel like we can get rid of a few things here. For example, well, first of all, this is kind of intersecting in a bad way, which is not great. I like to have these 3 loops, that's fine. I like this one as well, but here I think I just want to fill it because it doesn't really contribute to the silhouette in any way. So let's just start by removing all these points here in the center, and I'm just going to do it for the back as well. Just be careful not to remove any points that we still need. Although no, the back doesn't look that bad. We'll look at that separately in a second. So I'm just removing these here, and then I'll try to bring these over a bit. Does that work out? No, we'll have to do it differently. I'll just move this point to here. We'll make a triangle fan, as it's called, and then just a center line through, and this is going to be filled. Yeah, we should have turned on our snapping tools, then we can control it a little bit better. We can as well just extrude this out from here and place them. Could make it a little bit easier. Maybe it just actually doesn't. Alright, but here we go. And that's going to be it for the front. We have to repeat this process for the other side as well. Let's just relax this a bit in this direction only if possible. And this looks good now. Let's just recalculate the normals just in case. So the front is done. For the back, to be honest, it's okay. It's not too bad. I mean, we don't really need these. We could delete them and make a triangle here or something. But I mean, the topology is clean and we're not losing too much, so I'm just going to leave it. So all we need to do is to kind of repeat this process on the other side. So since we don't need these anymore, we'll just move on to these two. Actually, let's just take the low poly, isolate that one quickly. And with control click, I can quickly make a selection all around. We'll delete this, and this time let's take a bit of a different approach. I'll just connect these right away. We'll subdivide that. Let's get the right number of divisions. 2 more. That looks correct. Now we can move these a bit further to this side. And this one a bit lower to here. The snapping, oh, right, yeah. Seemed off, so we had to turn that one off, of course. Now all I need to do is to align it a little bit with what's around it, but it should be the correct number. And there we are. So finally, let's just use the F key to fill some of these faces. And we should be good to go. I'll finally just do a little bit of a smoothing operation on this. But yeah, that's actually perfectly fine now. I kind of feel like we should have done this same topology on the outside, but I feel like it's also at the same time not going to make a big difference. So I'll just leave it like that. So let's hide high poly for a moment again to see where we are. And as you can see, the character is almost done pretty much. We just need to do this little part on the leg. We need to fix the helmet, and we need to do the cape, which is going to be a bit yeah, a bit of a question still. I think what I'll do for the cape is a single-sided mesh for the simple reason that class simulation in game engines doesn't work on double-sided meshes, or at least there's no easy-to-use, ready-made implementation, so you'd have to do something custom. Not sure. Well, anyways, that's what I'm planning at the moment. It's just going to make things easier. Usually when you have a double-sided piece of cloth, you would have to work with a rigged cloth, and I mean, you can still simulate the rig, but it's just tricky. So just never mind for now. I'll try to keep things easy so that everyone can follow. But yeah, pretty happy with our progress. So yeah, let me quickly power through this recording session. I'll try to record another video today, and I'm quite excited to get this almost done. We still have to do the material setups and so on afterwards, and we'll see what comes beyond that, but it shouldn't be too much work. Also, I feel like I'm going to fix the ears, but I'll do that in the next video. Alright, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.